The incredible journey of Joseph. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers and sold into slavery, falsely accused by his master's wife, and thrown into prison. But against all odds, he rose from slavery to become the ruler of one of the most powerful nations in the ancient world. Let's take a look at the incredible journey of Joseph and how God's power transformed him from a slave to the sovereign of Egypt. We begin our story in Genesis chapter 37, where we meet Joseph, the 11th son of Jacob and the firstborn of his beloved wife, Rachel. From the time he was a young boy, Joseph had a special place in his father's heart. As a result, his father gave him a beautiful coat of many colors, which caused his brothers to be filled with hatred towards him. But it wasn't just the favor of their father that they envied Joseph for, but also his prophetic dreams. In Genesis 37 verses 5 through 11, we read about Joseph's dreams and how his brothers hated him even more because of them. Joseph had dreamed that one day he would rule over his family and that they would bow down to him. His brothers were furious when they heard this, so they plotted to kill him. But before they could carry out their evil plan, one of them, Reuben, convinced them to do something worse instead. They took Joseph and sold him to some passing traders who brought him to Egypt. From the moment he arrived in Egypt, Joseph's life was full of hardship. First, he was bought by Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the Egyptian king. But soon after, Potiphar's wife falsely accused Joseph of trying to assault her when he rejected her sexual advances. And although Joseph was innocent, he was thrown into prison without any trial or evidence. In Genesis 39, 19 through 20, we see that Potiphar put Joseph in prison, and the Lord was with Joseph, and he prospered. And he was found worthy to be in charge of the household affairs and everything that was done there. But what does it mean for someone to prosper in prison? Obviously, he was not living in luxury or comfort like the prisoners of today. So what exactly did it mean for him to prosper? To prosper means to succeed or thrive in spite of the difficult circumstances. Joseph did not allow his situation to defeat him, but used the skills and knowledge he already possessed to benefit himself and those around him. This is evident in the next part of the story, where we see him interpreting the dreams of two fellow prisoners. The first was a baker, and the second was a wine steward. Both men had forgotten their proper duties and had dreamed about being restored to their positions. The way Joseph interpreted these dreams shows his character and how he prepared himself for his future role as ruler of Egypt. Joseph interpreted the baker's dream literally, saying he would be put to death. And then he interpreted the wine steward's dream in the same manner, saying he would be restored to his position. Before long, both of these events happened just as Joseph had predicted. After these events, Joseph was still not freed from prison. It would be another 2 years before his big break came. In Genesis 41, 9 through 13, we learn about the Pharaoh's troubling dream. After struggling to interpret this dream, his chief official suggested that someone should be brought out of prison who can interpret dreams. Now this might sound odd to us, because why would a pharaoh need someone from prison to interpret his dream? We have to remember that in those days, people believed that dreams were messages from the gods. So if you had a bad dream, you wanted someone with special powers to interpret it. This is why Joseph was brought out of prison to interpret the pharaoh's dream. When he told the pharaoh that only God had the power to reveal what the dream meant, Pharaoh summoned Joseph to interpret the dream. And in Genesis 41, 25 through 26, we read that Joseph interpreted the dream, saying that for 7 years Egypt would experience great prosperity, but after that, 7 years of famine would follow. So the dream had a positive and negative side to it. However, Joseph said that the only way to avoid the famine would be to store food during the 7 years of plenty. This solution required someone with authority to oversee the process of storing grain. In Genesis 41, 38 through 45, we see Joseph rise quickly in Pharaoh's court. Pharaoh was impressed by Joseph's intelligence and ability to solve Egypt's problems. So he made him the ruler of the entire country. responsible for overseeing the storage of grain. In recognition of his new position, Pharaoh gave Joseph the finest clothes and a golden ring, and he allowed him to ride in his chariot. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. The name given to Joseph by Pharaoh was Zaphnath-Paneah, which means Savior. This was fitting because Joseph would later save Egypt from the famine. But his story doesn't end here. There's a lot more to know about Joseph, like how he reunited with his family after so long. Also how his brothers, who once hated him, now bowed down to him. If you want to know more about Joseph's incredible journey, stay tuned for the next episode. As we wrap up this episode, let's take some time to reflect on the lessons we can learn from Joseph's story. Even though he faced betrayal, hardship, and false accusations, he never gave up hope. Instead, he trusted in God's plan for his life and remained faithful to him. Joseph's story reminds us that God can use anyone to accomplish his purposes, no matter what obstacles they may face. Despite his difficult circumstances, Joseph never lost sight of his values and integrity. He refused to compromise his beliefs or give up on his faith. This is a valuable lesson for us all, especially when we face tough decisions in our own lives. No matter what pressure we may be under, we must stay true to ourselves and what we believe in. Joseph's story also teaches us the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation. After he became ruler of Egypt, he had the opportunity to punish those who had wronged him, but instead he chose to forgive them and seek reconciliation. This is a powerful message for us all, especially when we're dealing with people who have hurt us in the past. It's always easier to hold on to anger and resentment, but true strength comes from forgiving others and moving forward. Now I want to ask you a question. What are your thoughts on Joseph's incredible journey? How has his story inspired you? Or maybe you have your own story of hardship and resilience. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you for watching. Until next time.